Welcome back, everyone, to another season preview. This time we're talking about the NFC East champion Washington Redskins. Led by head coach Mike Shanahan, the Redskins were the best they've been under Shanahan, going 10-6 following the RG3 rookie season that saw him win Rookie of the Year, but also saw him blow out his knee for the second time in 4 years, tearing his ACL in the playoff game against Seattle, which they ultimately lost. The question for this team on offense is RG3 100%? And as the Adidas ad say, is he all in for week 1? Is he going to start? James Andrews says yes, reports say yes, and it will be a major upset if he doesn't start. But luckily for the Redskins, they have one of the best backup quarterbacks in the league, Kirk Cousins. Expect for him to be traded for this offseason. I expect someone to give up a first-round pick for him. So that's going to be a big bargaining chip for the Redskins. Recoups, especially considering they don't have a first-round pick this offseason, as that would be the third first-round pick going to the Rams for the RG3 trade. We look now to running back, where they have a 1,600-yard back, a big steal out of Florida Atlantic. The former Owls running back Alfred Morris is a workhorse. He's going to continue to rack up the yards, especially in the early going, as the team tries to take some of the pressure off RG3 and limit his vulnerability outside the pocket taking hits. We look at fullback. Darrell Young is one of the better fullbacks, though it is a dying position. He doesn't have a lot of competition for that title. When we go to the wide receivers, where it's a deep group, and RG3, his entire college career at Baylor, spread the ball. You look at the receivers he had, from David Geddes to Kendall Wright to Terrence Williams. There were a lot of guys getting the ball in that Baylor offense, and you can expect the same in Washington, where they had a bunch of guys go over 500 yards last year. We'll start with his number one target, who is Pierre Garçon, or as Mr. Tony calls him, Pete Waiter. The explosive speedster can get downfield, but he's got to stay healthy, and that was a big problem from last year. If he's healthy all the entire season, expect him to go close to 1,200 yards. Then we go to the other receivers, where it's really Garçon's your number one, and then you have a bunch of other guys who all play the role of number two almost, because they all fill different roles. They all take advantage of things, and RG3 spreads the ball evenly. We got Josh Morgan, signed from the 49ers. He's a possession receiver. Santana Moss past his prime, but still a guy who can get yards out of the slot. A guy who's willing to go to the dirty areas. Doesn't have the explosive speed he had 6 years ago, but is a good receiver. Leonard Hankerson, drop prone, big target for Miami, but can make that highlight reel catches that we saw this preseason when he made a beautiful catch on Monday Night Football. And then we have Aldrick Robinson, who's a very good deep threat, but is limited otherwise, doesn't do a whole lot for you. Big thing for the Redskins this year is getting guys back who are hurt. We're going to start off at the tight end with Fred Davis, who missed half of last year. Expect him to come back better than ever. And then when you consider that they did a good job replacing Davis last year with Logan Paulson and Niles Paul, both back to the bench, but they were very good when they were asked to do stuff for this Redskin team. We look at the offensive line, where it seems that that's Mike Shanahan's specialty, creating running backs out of nothing and creating linemen out of nothing. The only guy with the real pedigree coming in is Trent Williams, who was the 4th overall pick out of Oklahoma. He was awarded the Pro Bowl last year, but then he decided to go get in a nightclub fight and get hit over the head with a bottle. So he's got to stay out of trouble. And then Shanahan's own blocking creates superstars out of nothing, and that's what they did last year, is they all graded well. So especially good line play from the Redskins. We move to the defense, where it's going to be a very different story, because they're getting back two of their better players to start the year. They got Jarvis Jenkins, who had a good rookie season. Expect him to build on that. Stephen Bowen is a good 3-4 end who stuffs the run. And then they will be getting back Adam Carricker soon, not to start the year. PUP, he'll miss the first 6 weeks, but he'll be good to go the second half of the season. The big addition to this defense is getting back Brian Orakpo, one of the best outside linebackers in football, a great pass rusher, a great all-around player. He's only going to make his bookend opposite him, Purdue's Ryan Kerrigan, even better, who has been a great player in pass and in getting to the quarterback, stuffing the run. So you really like their outside linebackers. In the middle, you've got the ageless Lennon Fletcher. Had 5 interceptions last year. He doesn't move as well as he once did. He's a future Hall of Famer. He's the second greatest linebacker of his generation, next to Ray Lewis in the middle. And he's never missed a game. Talk about consistency. What a great player. And then we have Perry Riley, the third-year player of LSU, he needs to repeat the success he had last year. He was a great star out of seemingly nowhere and came out and had a great season. They need him to repeat that. At corner, we've got an interesting player. That's D'Angelo Hall. It seems that D'Angelo Hall, he started his career being a very well-respected player for his cover and return skills. And then he got to Oakland and he got exposed as being not so great a cover guy and a guy who takes a lot of stupid penalties. And that's sort of where the sentiment is still, that he's a very overrated player. But then he sort of switched that play in Washington, where he's been a better corner guy, still gets up big yards, makes big plays, and is very big in big games. But the sentiment is that he still is an extremely overrated player. So it's back. His reality is back to the middle and where he really is, but the sentiment is still very far to the negative. We all remember he had a humongous game in the season finale, shutting down Des Bryant and securing the playoff berth for the Redskins in the division title. Opposite him is Josh Wilson, who's been solid in 2 years since joining the Redskins. And then they drafted David Amerson, who, the second-round pick out of North Carolina State, I believe it was, had 13 interceptions as a sophomore, but struggled his junior season. I like the pick. I think he's going to develop into a very big, very talented player. We go to safety, where Brandon Mayweather had a great first game, but then he had a horrible injury in pregame warm-up when he collided with a punt returner. And that was unfortunate at the end of the season. But the real problem is who starts opposite him. Right now it's Bakari Rambo, which is not a great option. That's going to be the weak point of the defense. We move to special teams, where Kai Forbath was 94% last year. He's been great since joining the Redskins, a real upgrade over who they had. Sav Rocca has a below-average leg punching the ball, but he doesn't give up many touchbacks, which is always a plus when you can down the ball inside 20 and give the team a long field to work with. Overall, I think the Redskins match the 10-6 record. I think they're going to be competing for that last playoff spot and the division title. I think they'll find a way into the playoffs, and that's my preview for the Washington Redskins.